Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
Back in the 1970s and 80s, my invention in progress of a parallel supercomputer was ridiculed, rejected, and questioned as a huge waste of everybody's time. Everybody thought that I had made a mistake, but everybody was mistaken. As a black African-born supercomputer scientist that conducted his research alone, I was rejected because I didn't have a white teacher or a white mentor or a white savior that helped me invent practical parallel processing. In 1989, I was blackmailed because I refused to accept a completely made-up white advisor. I was the only person that solved the grand challenge problem, and for that reason, I refused to share the credit for my contributions to scientific knowledge. Such institutional racism reinforces their stereotype that Albert Einstein is more intelligent than Philip Emeagwali. For the decade that preceded 1989, my 1,057-page research report on my contributions to the development of the massively parallel supercomputer rotted in the drawers of skeptical vector processing supercomputer scientists. To this day, some naysayers reject my contributions to the development of the supercomputer and reject them because they could not believe that I completed such a complicated work alone. On June 8, 2008, I gave a public lecture at the University of the West Indies, Trinidad and Tobago. A newspaper columnist from Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, that attended my lecture wrote that he has rejected my contributions to the development of the fastest supercomputers. The columnist explained that it is impossible for me to have that extraordinary amount of scientific and technological knowledge that I shared during my 90-minute lecture and question and answer sessions. Going back to the 1970s in Corvallis, Oregon, United States, and to the 1980s in Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States, my continuously growing research report on the massively parallel supercomputer that is the fastest computer in the world was rejected by supercomputer scientists in Oregon and rejected by supercomputer scientists in New Mexico. But in 1989, that rejected supercomputer discovery won the top prize in supercomputing and was highlighted in the June 20, 1990 issue of the Wall Street Journal. Back in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, all computers were expensive third or fourth supercomputers. The parallel supercomputer was hypothesized in scientific literature back in 1958, although parallel human computing was earlier theorized in a science fiction story that was published on February 1, 1922. For 67 years, the massively parallel supercomputer remained in the realm of science fiction until my eureka moment of 8:15 in the morning of the 4th of July 1989 in Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States. That was my eureka moment, and the moment and the minute and date I discovered the massively parallel supercomputer and discovered it to be faster than the vector processing supercomputer that was formerly the most powerful computer in the world. My contribution to the development of the computer was possible because I visualized my new computer as a new internet, that is a new global network of 64 binary thousand processors that shared nothing. To put my struggles to record, to put my struggles to record the fastest supercomputer speed in context, it should be noted that I came of age in the post-Biafran War years that ended on January 15, 1970. For the preceding 30 months, I had lived in various Biafran refugee camps, as well as at or near the Oguta war front. That war was Africa's bloodiest civil war. During that war, 1 in 15 Biafrans died. In the pre-Biafran war decades of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, there was no computer in sub-Saharan Africa outside of South Africa. I began supercomputing on June 20, 1974, and at age 19, and at 1800 Southwest Campus Way, Corvallis, Oregon, United States. On that day, I began programming the first supercomputer to be rated at 1 million instructions per second.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.